Hi there. Today we're going to be talking about a couple of the most commonly seen digestive system indicators. You're going to see how to apply iridology properly in a clinical setting as well. So if you like what you see, remember to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and share it with your friends. Welcome. It is so good to have you with me today. Today we are going to be talking about digestion indicators in iridology. I would love it if you would take a moment to introduce yourself. Let me know who you are, where you're from. I'd also love to know if you've got any background in iridology, because that will tell me how deep I can go today. So take a moment and say hello to me. Let me know if you've got an iridology background, who your training was with, that kind of stuff, so that I can know exactly where we're headed. All righty, it's so good to have you with me. I need to underscore as we're talking about this that we are, as we do iridology and as we do this presentation, this information is meant for your education only. It is not meant to diagnose or prescribe. And you are responsible for any results, good or bad, that result from using this information. Excellent. We've got Trina with us from Nevada. Thanks for being there, Trina. We've got some people joining us on Instagram, Yoga Girl and Mills at Tracy's. There we go on Instagram, and some people watching us on Facebook, but they haven't said hello yet. So good to have you with me today. I'm going to take just a moment to introduce myself while people are hopping on. My name is Judith Cobb. I am a master herbalist, natural nutrition, clinical practitioner, and a certified iridologist. I've been in the wellness industry for over 4 decades. I started studying in 1979 and started practicing in 1980, 1981, somewhere back there. I got into this business because I had health problems and the medical world was not giving me any answers that I found satisfactory. Now, admittedly, I was a young adult. I might have had an attitude problem about them, but at any rate, it led me to start looking for other options. And so that's what got me to where I am now. Over the last 4+ decades, I've written and self-published, self-distributed several books: Pregnancy Naturally, the Herbal Birth Kit Handbook, Healthy Kids Naturally, The Essential Guide to Nature's Sunshine Products, Biokinesiology and Color Therapy Level 1 and 2, and the Confident Nutritionist Dynamic Iridology Textbook. I've also designed and taught many courses, most of them to go with those books: Herbology Level 1, Herbology Level 2, so that was how to use commercially prepared herbs with your family, basically both of those programs. Designed and taught Biokinesiology Level 1 and Level 2. Also designed and taught, for a while I was a certified prenatal educator, so I designed and taught antenatal classes. And I've also designed and currently love teaching the Dynamic Iridology Assessment System program, which is, for those of you who know anything about the International Iridology Practitioners Association, my course meets all of their requirements for their Level 1 and Level 2 to prepare you to become a certified iridologist. Alrighty, so our next course will be starting in January, and I'm going to give you some information about that at the end of our time together today. And we've got Andrea, joining us from Virginia. So good to have you with us on the Facebook group, watching the live stream there. Here's my association affiliations with nutrition and with herbalism. All of these different groups that I'm a member of, whether it's IPA or the nutrition or the herbal groups, they require ongoing education. So every year I'm doing 40 to 50 hours of educational upgrade to stay up to date and stay current, because that's what's required by the time I look at it all. When I come back here to the IPA badges, I am a Level 3 certified iridology instructor. There are only 5 of us in the world to date. And so I feel very blessed to have met those standards, passed the exams, done the studying to certify and teach at that level. So welcome. Again, I'd love it if those of you who are just joining us, if you take a moment and introduce yourself. We've got someone from North Carolina with us. This is Tracy. She's done Beth Hovis's class with Trinity. That's nice. Okay, so we've got lots of you coming in, and many of you have a little bit of background. Some of you are re-engaging with iridology. This is going to be a get your toes wet kind of little workshop we're going to do here. When we look at the eyes, oh, I didn't update that. Ignore that slide. We will do that better later on. Let's talk about digestion first off. Now, it's really important for us to remember that there are several things in the eyes that can teach us about digestion. There is no one marker that is a guarantee of anything, and we always have to have a conversation with our client to confirm what we are looking at. And the reason for that is any one marking can be interpreted several ways. This is why you need to have an anatomy and physiology background. And so we need to remember that people can have many digestive markers, and they can have symptoms that correlate to those markers, or they might have markers and not have symptoms because maybe they're too young and they haven't abused their body enough, or maybe they're older, but they've been taking really good care, so they've got the markings, but they don't have symptoms to go with it. We can also have people that have symptoms but no markings. Maybe they were born with a genetically very strong body, but they have just driven it into the ground. They've treated it very poorly, and now they've got symptoms. So we need to remember that iridology is an assessment tool. It's not a diagnostic tool. And it's important that we not use it as a crystal ball. And I hope that makes sense to you. Does that make sense? That iridology is an assessment tool, not a diagnostic tool? It doesn't tell us exactly what's going on. It tells us where there may be issues. And again, as we understand anatomy and physiology, it helps us understand a little bit more about what those issues could be. On a basic level, there are 3 specific indicators that teach us a lot about digestion. And again, about those digestive predispositions. And there are several others that can teach us about the interplay of different systems on digestion. And again, I'm going to say this till I sound like a broken record. This is why it's critical that you have anatomy and physiology under your belt, because you need to understand how the organs work together. Today, we're going to stay really laser focused on the digestive markers and keep it pretty tight. All right, so the first marker we're going to look at, and for those of you who are with me on Instagram, I'm going to move my camera closer, and I should have done that earlier. My apologies for not doing that sooner. I want you to look at the very, very edge of the border between the pupil and the iris. Can you see that it looks like someone took some little scissors and snipped into the edge here? If you can see that, give me the word snip in the comments. If you can see that, give me the word snip in the comments. Just little teeny snips. Trina can see that. Well done, Trina. Excellent. Can everybody else see this as well? Yeah, and Lizanne can see it too. Excellent. Good job. Excellent. Now, this is called comb teeth. And you can see why it kind of looks like it's that the iris itself is forming a comb that has some very poorly spaced teeth on it, right? So we're looking at the very edge of the iris. The comb is here, and these snipped areas are the spaces between the teeth. Now, not everybody will have this marking, but if it is present, it's inherent. The person didn't do anything to put it here, and they're not going to be able to do anything to get rid of it. What this teaches us is that there is a greater predisposition for this person to have inefficient or insufficient stomach. Okay, so an inefficient stomach lining, insufficient secretions from that stomach lining. Now, you can, if you can describe the structure and the function of the stomach lining, you've got a good foundation in anatomy and physiology. And this is so, so important. If you don't understand the structure and the function of the actual stomach lining, then it does you no good to be able to ascertain that they've got comb teeth, right? Because you need to understand what that stomach lining is doing to be able to ask the right kinds of questions to find out if this person has symptoms that correlate to this sign right now. These are the eyes of a 17-year-old girl, and she did not have digestive concerns when we met. Now I've lost touch with her. She's moved to another city. These were taken about 5 years ago. All right. And so as a part of my assessment with her, she was coming in for some other concerns. But when I see this, I know how important digestion is to the process. If you don't digest, you can't assimilate. If you can't assimilate, you can't repair. Does that make sense? That we have to have that chain of events happening. If you don't digest, you can't assimilate. If you don't assimilate, you can't repair. And so because of the issues she was coming in with, I did have to ask her to tell me about digestion. And I get very specific. Tracy, thanks for saying snip on Instagram. I appreciate that. I needed to ask her specific questions about her digestion. I'm not talking about bowel movements. I'm talking about digestion at the stomach level to find out if we needed to work there to be able to help her to get the nutrients she needed to repair the things that needed to be repaired. This is why you need your anatomy and physiology. You need to understand those chain reactions. Here again, this is a fellow in his later 60s. Can you see the snips again? We've got them in here. It looks like we've got someone took little scissors and cut little bits in there. Now, at the age of 60, it's highly likely he's going to need digestive support. Again, with that anatomy and physiology background, you know that most of us begin to lose our digestive juices in our stomach at about the age of 35. By the age of 55, we're typically down by half. Isn't that shocking? And so when we see this, particularly in someone who's in their late 60s, we are going to ask them questions about their digestion. Right, we're going to ask them about burping and belching and bloating. We're going to ask them if there are foods that they don't eat because those foods cause problems. We're going to ask them about their diet to find out if they're eating foods that actually compromise digestion, so that we'll understand what we need to do. Taking someone like this who is on a diet, who's eating foods that compromise digestion, it will do no good to throw digestive enzymes at them. Right? Because what they are doing on a daily basis is going to inhibit the full benefit of the enzymes. So we have to go back to that very foundation and do the dietary corrections and the lifestyle corrections. Okay, so that is one of the key indicators that we look for when we're looking for digestion. Now, you might not be able to see this with handheld equipment. You might actually need a proper iridology camera. Here is another young woman. These photos were taken when she was in her late 20s. And when we look again at that edge, it looks snipped. Why are we looking at this so many times? Because this is a very important marker. It's something that you need to understand. You need to be able to recognize this. Now, when I first met her, she was extremely high stress and depressed. And she was in some deep trouble emotionally. Since then, she has become a life coach, and she practices being mindful and is very self-aware of what she needs to do in order to stay in a really good place. Now, what we need to be aware of is that her being in that depressed state or being in an emotionally heightened situation, that's going to affect her digestion, right? How does the nervous system affect digestion? Do you know? If you understand that, if you know how the nervous system affects or impacts digestion, let me know in the comments. Let me know how it does that. So when I first met her about 7 years ago, I was really concerned about her in so many ways. Her stress levels, like I said, were super high. Her diet was not good. She was depressed. She's done some excellent, excellent work since then to protect herself and to strengthen the way her body functions, to support it in its natural functioning. All right. And so we didn't actually do anything about her digestion. We worked on her emotions and her mental state, because I knew that if we could get a grip on that, it would filter down to the digestion, and any digestive symptoms she may have had or may have been walking toward, they would correct, because she was young and because we got her brain working right. Is this making sense? If this is making sense, give me a makes sense in the comments. The next thing we're going to look at is called the stomach ring. And yeah, Lizanne, I hope I'm saying that right, Lizanne and Trina are both saying this makes sense. That is fantastic. And so is Megan. That is absolutely fantastic. So do you see what we are not doing? We are not looking at an indicator and assigning a specific symptom to that and telling the client what is wrong. We are not doing that. That is old iridology. It's been proven to be inaccurate. Instead, we are actually going to take the markings we see, correlate them to what our client wants help with, and then use the markings to help us ask better questions, to dig deeper, to understand why our client has the symptoms they've got. And then from there, we can create a program and recommendations for them that will meet the client's needs and take their health up a notch. So when we see this, and I want you to look carefully, can you see that here we have a different density of tissue as compared to out here? I lovingly call this the pom-pom zone because it looks like a pom-pom. We don't actually refer to it that way. It's just a way of describing it. Do you see this? If you see this, put I can see or I see, or give me an I, give me something that lets me know that you can see that there is a different density of tissue here as compared to out here. You can? Excellent. Love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much. This denser tissue is what we call the stomach ring. It also correlates to the stomach. And thank you, Tracy, for giving me the eye there. I appreciate that. This correlates to the stomach. When we can see this stomach ring this clearly, it means that we are again predisposed to having insufficient stomach function. So this was in a woman who was in her 50s. This has always looked like this in her eye. And that means she has always been at risk of having reduced stomach function. She's in her mid-50s now. So now the question is, does she have symptoms? Has she learned to avoid certain foods because they don't feel good? Does she have burping and belching? Does she have heartburn? Does she have any kind of a stomach symptom? Again, we're not talking intestinal. We are strictly focused on the stomach. And if she does, considering her age, we're likely going to give her enzymes, but we're also going to do dietary recommendations. At her age, there are probably some things in her daily consumption that compromise the stomach lining. And we need to remove those. So many people say, well, can't you just give me a pill? Can't you just give me a herb? And my best analogy here is, well, if you had a pebble in your shoe, would you leave it there? Well, no. Well, this thing that I'm asking you to remove is like a pebble in your shoe. It's doing damage, not to your foot, but to your stomach lining. And as long as you keep doing this, anything I do is going to be a Band-Aid. We're never, ever going to get good healing, good remediation. So if you want to get the full benefits, if you really want to enhance your health and strengthen your body, then we've got to take away foods that are damaging or depleting, and we need to use foods that are building and supportive. Selena has joined us on Facebook, and she is one of my current students. She says, Andrea, her class is amazing. I'm 12 weeks in and love it. Thank you, Selena. I do appreciate that endorsement. For those of you on Instagram, there you go. I'm not making it up. It's right there. For those of you on the webinar, I'm sorry I can't show you what's showing up on Facebook, but I appreciate that, Selena. It's wonderful when my students give endorsements like that, because I don't pay them. I just say that, right? They're saying it because that's how they feel. Here's another example. Now you look at this picture and we are looking first, do we have comb teeth? Well, not really. So this is not where we were seeing anything, but we are seeing a couple of other things. First off, we've got a very dense stomach ring. And we've also got this involvement, these contraction furs that tell us the nervous system is a key player for this young man. These are the eyes of an 11-year-old boy, 10-year-old boy. And what we see here is that his nervous system is a key player in everything that goes on in his body. And as such, that is going to have an impact on his digestion, right? And so with this young fellow, what we had to do was we had to do things a couple of different ways. We needed to go in with his diet. His concern that his parents brought him in for was he was being assessed for ADHD. And so we did a dietary assessment with him to understand what he was eating. And I wanted to know, what about his behaviors? Why are they concerned? And it was just that he was very distractible. He had a problem focusing on things for any length of time and wanted to be very physical with everything. And so what we did is we had to work with his diet, clean up his diet, make sure he was getting the right nutrients in his diet. Now he's young enough, there were no digestive complaints for him, but he is young enough, and he's young enough that by correcting his diet, we were able to enhance his nutritional status, gave him a few appropriate supplements, and we really brought his ADHD symptoms down. Really brought him into a fairly good functioning level, right? But we had to understand that his digestion could have been compromised. His nervous system was going to be a big part of why that digestion could be compromised. And then we needed to fix his food choices to support the nervous system, which would then also end up supporting the digestion. And we would get that back and forth between those two systems as they supported each other. Yeah? How's this sounding to you? How's this sounding to you? These are the eyes of a client who was in her mid-30s when she came to me. She was extremely diet conscious, vegetarian, and really quite in tune. Trina's saying, this sounds good. Love that, Trina. Thank you so much. Notice that she does have the comb teeth. Notice that she does have a slightly denser stomach ring, and she also has the nervous system markers. Now, to her credit, she had no digestive complaints, and a lot of that is because of her diet and her lifestyle. Now, I am not saying that everyone should be vegetarian. Okay. I am saying that she actually teaches yoga and meditation. And so what she has done with her diet and her lifestyle are things that actually will help to prevent her from letting these genetic markers manifest as symptoms, right? So what we see in the eye are predispositions. They are not guarantees. So what a person does with their diet and their lifestyle will either trigger genetics and help us see problems, or they will keep those genetics quiet and under control. These are the eyes of a 4-year-old girl. Again, notice she's got the comb teeth. She's got a slightly denser stomach ring, although we can't see the edge of it because the collarette is constricted in over the edge of the stomach ring. Again, this little girl Her mother is extremely diet conscious. It's an interesting family dynamic. This is an only child, the result of IVF and many years of trying. And the mother makes sure that this child is fed the best of everything, organic from scratch. Mom and dad don't eat quite so well. So mom's preparing 2 meals every time she prepares a meal. And the daughter gets the very best and the parents get whatever. However, having said that, the fact that this little girl is getting such excellent food quality, her parents are doing an amazing job of letting her be a child. Being an only child is a really hard job sometimes. The expectations can be really high, and that can create many, many problems in and of itself. These parents are doing a brilliant job of not putting all of their dreams and hopes into this child. Their only dream and hope was to have this child, right? And they're doing a great job of letting her be what she needs to be. And that's going to go a long way to helping this young girl have a better digestive process. And it's going to help protect her digestion as well, right? Because when you're under stress, do you digest well? Not usually, right? Not usually. And that's a part of that nervous system interaction. And so we want to just be aware that, again, what we see in the eyes is not a guarantee of a problem. What we see in the eyes is only that indication of a predisposition. There's so many more things that influence it. Now, we've come a long way with iridology since Dr. Jensen, but we do love Dr. Jensen. And I love what he said here. After your meal, sit a while, then walk a mile, right? My parents used to call it taking a constitutional. They would, in the summer, at least, not so much in the winter, because the winter here can be pretty brutal, but in the summer, pretty much every evening after supper, they would go for a walk, right? And that's some of the best advice. Perfect foundational advice. A little bit of gentle activity after the evening meal, particularly after the evening meal or after your largest meal of the day might be a more appropriate thing to say, to really help settle the nervous system and let the digestive system do its job. So here's the thing about this. So some health professionals want to learn iridology just because they do, and that's fabulous. And after they learn it, they find that it does help them in so many other ways. And we've kind of touched on these today. When you know iridology, it can help you to do your assessments more quickly. It can help you to be more accurate. It can help you to build better and faster rapport. And it actually can help you eliminate the need for an intake form. Now, you still need a signed release form, the informed consent form. But these are some of the ways that I find iridology helps me in my practice. And this is how I teach iridology, is to help my students achieve these endpoints as well. The Dynamic Iridology Assessment System for Health Professionals is the only live, online, fully mentored course for nutritionists, herbalists, naturopaths, health professionals who want to streamline their clinical work without sacrificing client care. So often health professionals see the client, gather information, and then they go off and on their own time create the program for the client. They'll spend 2 or 3 or 4 hours doing that, not getting paid for it, and then bring that back to their client, or worse yet, email it to the client and again, not be paid for it. Now, I'm not a money grubber, but unless you're charging enough to cover those hours, you're not in business. You've got a hobby. Right. And I'm saying that seriously. You might be charging $120 for that first hour, but if you're actually spending another 3 hours, you're now making $30 an hour. Right. Here's what some of my students have said. We've heard from Selena, bless her heart for that. This is what Julie said. Her name is actually Julie. She goes by, her online name is Jade Brooks. This is my first iridology course. However, in my certified natural health professional course, we were given a 3-hour lesson on iridology in a nutshell. That lecture and the study material left me more confused than before I knew anything at all. Judith's dynamic iridology assessment system has been an incredible experience, and we are just halfway through the program. Her teaching materials are thorough and easy to follow. The charts are invaluable and so insightful. I left Western medicine a while ago in favor of natural health. I've been an RN for 22 years. Western medicine wasn't able to help me with my health, but iridology has helped me to identify many of my health challenges and to act to support my body toward better health. I have also been able to guide my family in supporting their bodies. Judith is truly amazing and is my most favorite instructor out of all my many years of higher education. Warm fuzzies, I appreciate that. That is my goal, to be the best instructor ever. This is from Theodora, who is a Bowen practitioner, and this is what she said. As a holistic nutritionist and a Bowen practitioner, I was very interested to learn iridology. It has helped me to better understand client complaints. I am very happy that I finished the course. My teacher, Judith, is a great professional with a positive and happy attitude, which she always has while teaching. She worked with us until she was sure we understood the required material. With a lot of practice during sessions, I am comfortable to practice iridology. The recommendations which I can now make for my clients are much better informed based on what I see in their irides. I would recommend this course to all nutritionists. Thank you. I'm really glad that I took this course and that you were my teacher. I'm looking forward to another course with you. Fantastic. When they want to come back, you know you've done something right. Mike Knapp is a naturopath in Arizona. I asked him, why did you take my course? There are a lot of courses out there. Why did you take mine? And he said, the interactive online platform with an experienced teacher and practitioner. You said the fundamentals of iridology could be learned in this format, and that's what was delivered, plus a lot more on how to integrate it directly into current practice. I'm very happy with the training, so thank you. Love that, because we do practice in class how to integrate iridology into client appointments, right? It's not just learning markers, it's how to integrate it, how to apply it. And so the next round of dynamic iridology is starting on January 12th, and the course time will be 4 p.m. Pacific Daylight, 5 p.m. Mountain, 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, and if you're overseas, use a time and date calculator to figure out what time it is. I only accept registrations with a phone call or a Zoom call. I want to meet my students. I want to make sure that this is a good fit. If it is a good fit, then in the scope of the call, I will offer you the opportunity to enroll. That might sound a little bit snooty, and it's not meant to sound snooty. It's meant to protect you. And I say that because I've had some students enroll in the program who said they had A&P, they didn't really, and what it meant is they were overwhelmed by halfway through the program and they ended up dropping out. That's not the goal here. The goal isn't to have people drop out. The goal is to have professionals, health practitioners, complete the program and successfully use iridology. Right. And so that's why I ask you to please use this URL. If this course sounds interesting, if you've got a college level anatomy and physiology course under your belt, make a note of this URL and let's have a phone call and let's see if this is a good fit. And if it is, then I will offer you that opportunity to get enrolled for the January start date. Some little bits that you might want to know first are things like the course is taught via 20 2.25 hour long webinars. We meet once each week for a webinar. Twice each month, we have extra mentoring sessions. These are optional, but if you would like to practice more, if you've got cases you're working on and you would like some support with them, you can bring them to our office hours sessions. Your textbook is a 225-page downloadable digital textbook, and it is my gift to you. We also have 45 pages of cheat sheets, which are downloadable. In addition, every class is recorded. So if you have to miss a class or if you want to go back and review, you will have access to your class recording. I keep the class sizes small. I only allow 10 students per class. That's to make sure you get enough time and attention, that you are properly mentored and tutored as needed. All right, and so if this sounds of interest to you, then Let's book a call. Lisanne is saying I need to take an A&P class. Lisanne, with your permission, I will email you a link to the A&P course that I recommend. It's an online course and you can do it at your leisure. I understand that if you're willing to spend 2 hours a day, and with this course, you can get it done in about 4 to 5 weeks. Perfect. I will email you that link, Lisanne, so that you can get on that and you could be done in time to join us for the January 12th start date. That would be exciting. And that A&P would be fresh on your mind. Ooh, you'd be sharp in class, right? So that would be fantastic. 28 Chavez is saying, I love what you just said. Thank you so much, 28 Chavez. I appreciate that. You know, the goal here, again, is not for me to sell a whole bunch of people into iridology courses. My goal here is to invite professionals, people who want to be health professionals, into the course and to make sure it's a good fit. So with that, my friends, do you have any other questions about anything we talked about today? Give you just a minute to weigh in on that. That was just a real 30,000-foot overview of a couple of iridology markings, a little bit about digestion, and very much the tip of the iceberg of what you would learn in the Dynamic Iridology Assessment System course, where we go much deeper, where we talk about protocols, where we talk about the questions you need to ask, where we teach you integration, how to integrate iridology into your practice. So you learn the markings, that's for sure, but you learn how to use iridology. So I'm not seeing any questions come in. Thanks for watching. If you like what you saw, remember to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share it with your friends, and leave me a comment below. Let me know if there's something you would like me to present in a video, and I will take that into consideration. Thanks so much.